Pat D.
Today, I'm going to talk about how to get a job with a prospective employer. So how do you get a job with a prospective employer? I will give you some good advice on how to compete in this highly cutthroat, highly competitive job market. First of all, it's very important that you are a good obedient conformist. It is also extremely important that you have a good attitude. How can you show a corporation that you have a good attitude? Well, when you go in for a job interview, you need to prove to a corporation that you're willing to kiss ass, and you must show a corporation that you are willing to put up with their shit. But even that is not enough of them. If you want to get hired from a prospective employer, you need to prove to them that you are willing to smile while putting up with their shit. Well, anyway, you must remember that you have bills to pay, so you have to kiss ass and answer the job interviewing questions the way a corporation expects you to. And I was at a job support group, and I was practicing by writing out the answers to job interviewing questions, and they had a mock job interview. And they had me read some of the answers out loud with what I wrote. And the answer to the question that I wrote out loud was, what are your strengths? Well, my answer was, I have good writing skills. I really enjoy writing stories that are sexually explicit. I also enjoy writing about diarrhea, cannibalism, and necrophilia. But I really enjoy describing bowel movements in graphic detail when I write my stories. Well, at least the people in that group that I was at had a sense of humor and found what I said to be funny. And even the facilitator of the group found that answer to be quite funny. However, he told me that is not the correct way to answer that job interview question. I was told that the way to answer that question is, what are your strengths, is I work well under pressure. Well, I don't work well under pressure. When I'm under pressure, I have meltdowns, and I start screaming and swearing at the top of my lungs, and I start throwing things. This is definitely the ultimate of an ass-kissing answer. What am I supposed to do? Go in for a job interview and lie? And I hope I never have to deal with these job interviews and all this bullshit again, but if I'm misfortunate ever to have to deal with that again, and here's some of the stupid questions I got to do with being asked. So, Pat, tell me something about yourself. Well, I am a militant anarchist antichrist, and I hate corporations very much. I am sick and tired of these greedy, money-grubbing, scumfuck corporations who think they can do whatever they can to ruin people's lives, and corporate America needs to be smashed. It upsets me very much when I think about the shit that these corporations are getting away with. However, to make myself feel better, I usually masturbate about 2 or 3 times a day. I usually masturbate about 6 or 7 times a day on days in which I happen to be extremely horny. I was masturbating one day when I spent too much time looking at my cock and not enough time looking at the clock when I noticed that I was running late for work. So I had to hurry up and shoot my load. I then had to put my clothes on. And then I drove like a maniac and I flew through 10 red lights. And I was able to do it without getting pulled over by a cop. And not only that, the good news is I was only 10 minutes late for work. For some reason, that would not be considered the proper way to answer that job interviewing question. A corporation isn't interested in my life story, my hopes and dreams. All they care about is how I can make them money and how I can make them more money than anyone else can. Anyway, next question. So, Pat, tell me about your career goals. What kind of career would you like to see yourself in 5 years from now? Well, I'm planning on going to medical school so I can become an abortion doctor. I heard that there is a shortage of qualified doctors who are willing to perform abortions. I feel that abortion is not only necessary for saving our planet from overpopulation, but the thought of extracting unborn fetuses from pregnant women sounds like it'll be a lot of fun. Next question. So, Pat, tell me what you find important in a job. Well, I'm glad you asked. I once worked at a convenience store, and I really enjoyed making sure that the shelves were well stocked up with cigarettes because I wanted to do my part to help people get cancer. So, Pat, tell me something about some things that you liked in one of your previous jobs. Well, the best part of one of the jobs that I had was when I worked at a convenience store, But the job was kind of boring, but they sold fleet enemas at the store. And when I was bored, it would give me a cheap thrill to look at the drawings of the people being bent over on the box, and I enjoyed reading the directions so people will know the proper way to stick the enema up their ass. Next question. So, Pat, tell me something about one of your previous jobs that you didn't like. Oh, don't even get me started, honey. Now am I hired? Do I get the job? I need money. Well, with that in mind, working sucks, but then I hear people say I have so many bills to pay. Well, for one thing, most corporations are too cheap and greedy to pay people enough to pay their bills. Also, working for someone you can't stand will ruin your life. Do you know that most heart attacks occur in the morning more than any other time of the day? That's because so many people would rather croak than spend another day working for a corporation and putting up with their shit. Everyone has bills to pay, but when it comes to earning a living, there would have to be some way to make it more enjoyable. There's got to be a better way. And I got a show in the Fringe Festival. I think I'm going to certainly do this one. This was one of the things I've gone over best with. Although everything I do is good, including the things that nobody likes.
Alright, thank you. The Minnesota Fringe Festival is 11 days in August. It's an unjuried festival, so anyone can say, I want to do an hour-long play, and if they pick your ping pong ball out of a bucket, you get an hour-long play. There's 150 shows happening over 11 days. Each show goes 5 times. And Reverend Pat D, what's the title of your show?
I have Asperger's, what's your excuse?
I have Asperger's, what's your excuse? You can check that out.